You caught yourself out. You didn't know when it was ending.
I didn't know the
No,
song,
that's you off the list. That's you. Your cup. I'm starting way too happy in this podcast for a lot of people's likings, I'd say.
I've heard it.
Welcome to the Red Reaction. Liverpool 0, Burnley 1 at Anfield tonight. Liverpool's first loss at home in the Premier League since April 2017. With me, I have got Grizz, I have Dicko, I have Andy Young, and obviously I'm here myself. I was half expecting at about 10 to 10 a few messages going, I can't do it, sorry. You know, there's a leak in the kitchen or whatever it might be. But look, we're here to try and analyse this game. We're here to look over it. I'm looking at it a bit deeper, I think, because there's issues there. We've seen them over the last couple of weeks. They've kind of come to a head tonight. We'd like your opinion on it. If you're in the chat, please hit the like button on your way in or on your way out. We've just done a tweet to say we're going live. If you're on Twitter and you can get over there, you'll see that tweet and give it a retweet, and we get as many people in as we can. Right, let's go. Andy, I'm going to start with you. And usually with these, I start with the lineup, but you know, I think we kind of skip over that because, you know, Henderson doesn't make it, Matip and Fabinho at the back, THIAGO and Wijnaldum, Oxlade-Chamberlain gets a game, and then he goes with Origi, Shaqiri, and Mane, or sorry, Yox, the other way around, whatever way you want to put it. But Andy, I'm going to put it out there. Like, I was flabbergasted at that side. I'm going to be honest, absolutely flabbergasted, because I was of the opinion that you need these players to play their way back into form. But I'm just wondering, is it just a case of players just don't have anything in the tank and they can't play their way back into form?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to see two of the front three dropped all at once. You know, I thought Bobby was due a dropping, or Salah might be due a dropping, but for the two of them to get dropped and for Shaqiri to play the position that I think he's a little bit better behind the front three, picking up the ball and running with it. This team are missing someone that can actually carry the ball. One of the most dangerous moments in the whole match was when Wijnaldum carried the ball. The team are just lacking a huge amount of confidence at the moment, and Klopp is trying everything he can. Took a measured risk tonight with the lineup. Didn't pay off, but is it any different than any performance that we've had in the last 4 or 5 games? Is it any different in terms of the lack of invention, lack of ideas? It's he could have played the same. He could have played a stronger team, and the same shit would have happened. So that's the way it goes. Don't know what more to say about the lineup. I don't normally get too pissed off at lineups. We've a squad there of 20 odd that you should be able to pick 11 to be teams like Burnley. But the sort of form we're in, every game is a big ask at the moment.
Graham Doyle says he's actually confused at this stage as to what's going on with us. It's going to be tough to keep up with the comments. I'm going to be honest, they're absolutely flying in. There's fans from other clubs in there as well, which is great.
I'm not that confused though. Are we?
Well, I was just going to say, I was going to put it out there. I was saying to you before we went live and before I get to Dicko and Grizz. Like, I was trying to word it to you beforehand, Andy, as to how I feel, and I said to you, I'm a bit comfortable with the situation we're in, and that might sound like, what do you mean you're fucking comfortable? Like, we've lost and we haven't won in 5 or 6 or whatever it might be, but I'm comfortable because I kind of knew this was coming. You know, when you see the deal we've been given, or the cards we've been dealt, I suppose, with the likes of injuries, you know, COVID to a couple of players, are they still affected by it, and just a loss of form. For me it's a bit of a perfect storm. I've said this a couple of times, and it's time to sit back and listen. You're gonna have to take abuse of fans of other clubs. You're gonna have to take the ire of people in the chat here, or your mates, or wherever it might be. But I'm of the opinion that, look, this is a bad bit of form. You have to take it. There's nothing you can do about it. Take your licks and just, you know, I don't want to sound super fanboy. I'll just continue to support the side, but just take it on the chin and go, yeah, it's a bad bit of form. We haven't experienced this in a long time. This is what it feels like to be a normal football team with injuries and stuff like that. And I think, like, for me, I don't like it. I'm annoyed at the performance tonight at certain elements, but at the same time, I'm not letting people off the hook, the likes of Klopp or the likes of players. I'm not letting them off the hook, but I am kind of at peace with the fact that they're struggling in mentally, physically, and it's just one that you have to walk through. So that's where I stand on it. Ramis Khalil with a super chat, he says Madness is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So why do we keep crossing balls against a standing defence? No goal in 440 minutes. Hope we make the top 4 this season. Grizz, I'm going to come to you because, like, we can go through bits of the game, but I think this one might be a bit more of a broader discussion around what's going on. But I thought we just looked 10-15% off this, and it's killing us. That's what I think. What do you think?
I pretty much agree with your opening statement. I wish you came to me and I would have made that statement, and I would have had something to add.
Well, you would have if I'd have texted you beforehand.
But I might have tweeted it. But you say 10-15%.
Yeah.
I think you're being generous. I think we're way more than 10-15% off. I think it's, without a shadow of a doubt, the most difficult period in Klopp's Liverpool tenure. Considering everything, I mean, I know people are going to sort of go back to his first season and go through the players we had and say, look how far we've come. I get all that, but this is a really rough patch. And as you say, we're finally, after a couple of seasons of absolute elation and being sort of on top of the world, every game we were going into sort of texting each other 3-0, 4-0, 1-0, 2-0, or even when we went up, we had this sort of aura about us, even as a fan base, of elation. Every game, every home game, packed out. Every away game, we know, mentality monsters. This is what it feels like to be, as Andy, or I think Andy said, or you said, like a normal football fan. You got to take the shit, and we certainly are in the midst of an absolute shitstorm, Gav. There's absolutely no other way of dressing it up. We're in the middle of an absolute shitstorm. And if you're going to ask me, how do we get out of this? I'm going to say, Gav, I'm just a contributor to LFC Daytrippers. I haven't got the answers. If Jurgen Klopp doesn't seem to have the answers, I won't have the answers right now.
Andy, Grizz mentioned Jurgen Klopp there, and in fairness, I looked at him tonight, and I think I got a bit of a sense that he's just going, I don't know where to go here. I don't know what to do. Did you get that feeling? Because and that might sound a bit harsh, or making him out to be a bit stupid, but I did get that kind of look where he's going, I'm trying everything here, and it's just not happening.
I said a while ago, I wanted to see the Klopp we were familiar with back. The smiles, the enthusiasm, the things you're normally associating with celebrating the sideline, and somebody told me to shut the fuck up in the comments. But like that's the reality. Like Klopp hasn't just looked like he has tonight, just from tonight. I mean, this is going on a while. The players don't seem themselves. It's like they have suffered a huge impact with the likes of seeing Gomez getting injured the way he did, and seeing Van Dijk getting injured, and quite a few of the players have had COVID, and there's been other injuries here and there as well. And it's always been little gaps we've been bridging to get us to where we are. And in the last 4 games, like, it's just, I suppose, for everyone else has come to fruit. Liverpool have started to drop points. All the luck has ran out. Last season, we just seemed to be able to get results in games like tonight, or in games like United. You get a chance at the end. We are constantly using the term mentality monsters, but that element's just not there. The team are dejected. The team are flush out of ideas. They're flush out of confidence. Like that, it's all in the comments. You're clipping balls into the box for 90 minutes. It's not working. But that energy and that enthusiasm is just gone from them. And as we've said for a few weeks on this podcast, it's very hard to put your finger on where that is. Is it the injuries? Is it COVID? Is it the empty ground? Is it the hangover from that? Is it no preseason? Like, there's so many different things that it's not really going to be till things are back to normality. The crowd is, the stadium's packed again, and we have a proper preseason that you can kind of reassess and reevaluate what's going on. This could happen to anyone. Liverpool don't turn into a bad side overnight, but I mean, they're human beings and they're entitled to. You look at the energy they've shown for a few years now, and the effort that has to be put in. With every high, there's an equal low, and you can't go beyond the normal boundaries of highs without suffering a low, and that's what I feel is just happening at the moment. And it's accumulation of so many different things. Klopp is going to be, he's always the mirror of that team. If Klopp is jumping around on the side of the pitch, you normally see a reaction on the pitch. The players just look like Klopp at the moment, and Klopp looks like the players. We have to just, I know it sounds like such a mediocrity acceptance merchant that's got called a few times before when we were grown. But sometimes you have to just accept certain things in football. That is football. These things happen, and they will turn it around. And I said so many times when we are experiencing such great things, like, enjoy it and look around and smell it in, and because it doesn't last forever. And games like tonight and look, I'm not going to read a huge amount into the age. Football is just crap at the moment. You know what I mean? Even if we were flying at this season, we are miles ahead. I don't think I would I'd be bragging.
But I think you need to read more into it, Andy. Because like there's certain players in that side and certain players that are coming into that side that just aren't showing up for me. You know, and I don't want to one single person out or two. Or, you know, I don't want to have a go at just the easy ones to have a go at. But
name a few.
No, I think it's a collective. Look, I think Gav, Andy, I think it's a collective, to be honest with you. You were talking there, Andy, about mentality monsters. That was mentioned by the commentator there with 5 minutes to go. We were 1-0 down. Mentality monsters was brought out. It just felt so hollow. I just never got the feeling that actually we were gonna score there towards the end. That seems now to be something a little bit of the past, and I'm not having a go. It's just the collective just seems to have disappeared, that we had that ability to be able to galvanize ourselves. There was nothing in those last 7 minutes. I think the crowd has a lot to do with it. I think if that home record is about to go with 7 minutes left and there's a crowd there, I can't see that playing out the way it does. Now, maybe we don't score, but I tell you what, there's an absolute onslaught in at that cop end for those last 7 minutes. And we'll come away from that saying, well, look, we had a go and it just wasn't to be on the night sort of thing. But I think if you take the season as it is in stages, you know, we get off to a decent enough start, and then, you know, we have the setback against Everton with the injuries. We seem to overcome that. There's a bit of mentality monsters about how we then push on for the season. And then the crowds come back into the ground, and there seems to be a little bit of momentum and bit of feel good there. And I think it is papering up cracks, which have now just emerged, and we're just not finding the solutions to the questions that are being posed to us. And I'm kind of Shawnee will be no doubt on these podcasts in the next few days saying that he's just looking forward to August. I'm starting to come around to that idea that we just have to accept what unfolds over the next few weeks and months. No,
you see, I disagree wholeheartedly. I absolutely disagree with that. And, you know, I genuinely don't think Shawnee comes on this podcast and says that. And if he wants to, if he's watching now and he wants to come on and say that, he absolutely can. But I wholeheartedly disagree, because listen, I'm not here to defend Klopp or defend the players or the form or anything like that. But one thing I will say is that I would like to give them every opportunity in the next 18 league games or 19 league games to not put this right, but show that they're not, you know, this, because people will tell you that they're finished, you know, and I will never write off a season for Liverpool, ever. I simply won't. You know, I could be wildly wrong here, but it'd be just like Liverpool that you've seen over the last 2 to 3 seasons to absolutely just click in a game or two and go on a mad run. And we're talking in 12, 13 games time with 6 to go that Liverpool are right in it. Now, having said that, in 12 or 13 games, we could be 15 points off the lead, 20 points off the lead because we're just having an absolute stinker. But that's the way things go. But I would never, under any circumstances, write this season off. And I think it's actually, I think it's an insult to a manager and a set of players to have brought so much to everybody over the last 2 years to write off a season in January. That's just my opinion, though.
I think, Gav, just to come back on that, I think I'm sort of in the position now where I'm considering this like a regular season, and you know, there was a comment. He must have been reading my mind. There was a comment in there from I think it was Arjit who said there's still an FA Cup and a Champions League in play as well. I'm not writing the season off. I still think there's things to play for. It might be that the league becomes something that is beyond us in a few weeks' time, depending on how things play out, because at the moment the likes of City and United and Leicester are winning regularly. So let's see what happens in the next few weeks. But I'm kind of considering this almost like a regular season.
The league's beyond us. The league's. I'm gonna.
It's a stretch. It's a big stretch.
No, I'm not. It's not a stretch. I don't care if Gav says that he disagrees with it and he's going to and we turn this around, whatever. That's Gav's opinion, and Gav's entitled to his opinion. The league's out. The league's. Let's not beat around the bush and say, "Oh, this." There is fundamental issues going on with this team right now because this is. I totally understand it's not a normal season, and we've discussed the reasons why till death. But you're absolutely right, Ray. There is enough FA Cup that we haven't won in ages, and maybe we've been sort of aloof to even look at it as a trophy anymore, worth playing, right? So maybe that mentality changes. And there's most certainly a Champions League tie with Leipzig that absolutely is winnable, and we will 100% be up for it. And that is an absolute target for and that's a motivation. That Champions League is the pinnacle of most major most major clubs. I think the only team in world football recently that didn't want the Champions League as much as was because of the history of the not winning the leagues for so long. But we've won the league. We're having an absolute stinker. Let's say it how it is, and it's an absolute stinker in the league. There's no way we're winning this league. People can clip this and say, "Oh, you was talking absolute and you was reactionary and whatever." They can do what they want. We will not. It is an absolute battle for top 4, in my opinion. But the Champions League and the FA Cup suddenly take priority. They absolutely do, and you know, and there's absolutely loads to play for. So
can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question then?
Let's not say, "Oh, we can turn around the league."
Do you think Liverpool can win the Champions League, Chris?
I 100% think we can win the Champions League.
Do you think we can win the FA Cup?
If we get past Man United.
Okay. So what you're saying to me is that games, Champions League will be 7 more games to win the Champions League, spread over between now and May. You're telling me that Liverpool can't compete in the league but can switch around in the FA Cup and Champions League. Is that what you're telling me?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Okay.
It changes the mindset. It's all about mindsets. Our mindsets at the moment is scrambled, and we need something different to focus it. And this is what I'm saying, a change of competition sometimes, and we've seen it before with other clubs, with other teams, sometimes a change of competition can just spark that sort of difference in mentality, a fresh approach. I don't know, but it can happen, and I truly believe we can still do that. So I'm not sitting here and saying we're an absolute awful team now and everything's gone to pot and FSG out and Klopp out. But what I'm saying is, let's not sit here. Well, I'm not going to sit here and say the league's on, we can turn this around halfway. It's only halfway, blah, 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 blah. I'm saying the league is done. Take into consideration our form and the form of Man City, and dare I say it, Man United.
Well, Donks says, Donks was telling me I was talking short a minute ago, but he says it's a fight for top 4 and the title is gone. Let's be realistic. I think that's a very realistic thing to say, Donks. What I'm saying is, you know, how realistic is it that Liverpool could go on a run and click at some stage? I don't know how realistic it is. I would err on the side of unrealistic, but I wouldn't write it off based on previous seasons. Now, previous seasons mean fuck all when you're in this situation. I get that. But what I hold on to, and as I've said, I'm comfortable in the position we're in because of all the elements that's going on. But what I'm saying to you is Liverpool need a spark. And if they find that spark, you never, ever know. But I absolutely see your point about it being a top four chase and that being the most realistic thing at the moment. I absolutely get that. Lauren just says, but can the team still make top four if they switch all their energy into another competition? That's a fair point as well. Andy, it's the style of play for me that's probably the most frustrating. You know, if Liverpool come out and said, look, we're lacking in energy, we're lacking in confidence, form, whatever it might be, we're going to mix it up. We're going to stick two up front and we're going to play a 4-4-2, something different we've worked on. But it just seems to be like, get it and cross it, get it and cross it, get it and cross. It's like, it's the easy way out for me, Andy, at times. You know, the easiest thing in football to do is just get your full back up the pitch a little bit, give it to him, let him launch in the box and see what happens. Surely that's frustrating you, Andy, massively.
Yeah, it's like it's the lack of idea. I don't know who's going to come out and say, "Yeah, look, we're bollocks. We've no energy." But it's evident on the pitch that they're flush out of ideas and they're flush out of confidence, and they're getting into positions. They're high at the pitch at one stage, like they had 90% possession over the last 5 or 10 minutes, something along them lines, and there seems to be a serious lack of balls. Some of the carry the ball. I said it earlier on. The most dangerous. Siri just started talking to me there. The most dangerous time of the game was when Ronaldo carried the ball past a few players, and that's what you kind of need to do. Someone that's going to take the game with a scruff of the neck, take a chance. You see when THIAGO comes into the team, maybe that's the person that's going to do it. Unfortunately, he hasn't. You know, you look at you're wanting someone like Naby Keita to come into the team and do something different. When Jota was in the team, he was doing something slightly different, and we're just lacking. We're just lacking that at the moment, and that's the kind of spark we need. And at the moment, that spark just doesn't exist. I can't wait till Jota's back actually, because he's the one thing this season that's been good. It's the one thing that's sort of pushed other players on or asked questions of other players. I mean, if you look back 2 months before he got injured, we were saying, why isn't he dropping Firmino for Jota? Like, why isn't he this player getting into the team? I mean, it's actually incredible to think that those questions were even being asked. Right now, he is in that team, and he's forced on the first 11. Yeah, you're right. Clipping balls, very frustrating. Clipping deep balls in against a team like Burnley, who are big, they're strong, they're used to that. They're shaped up. There's bodies there.
It was like giving candy to that first half was so brain dead. I don't know about you guys. I could not believe that first half.
Yeah. But whatever about doing the same thing again over and over again, the lack of quality when it was actually on, when it did go out to Trent and he could whip the ball in behind them with pace and he just hit straight at the first man. And that's the problem you have. Like that when you have such an accumulation of problems, that's the issue, you know. Trent gets the ball and normally so good in that situation, just doesn't happen for whatever reason. Robinson didn't get the chances to do that tonight. Yeah, you're dead right, Gav. It's frustrating to watch them over and over and over again. But with a team that's out of form, always looks lost.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the two lads at centre back, Tarkowski and Mia, probably is most in form duo in the Premier League at the moment, and you know they were mopping everything up, and I don't know. I mean, he obviously tried to do something different in terms of his team selection because he's seen that we weren't doing it in the previous 3 games, but and so there was some shouts obviously in the WhatsApp before, like if this goes badly, it's all on Klopp. And I think there's obviously a big element to that, but the players that come in, you know, Origi, Oxlade-Chamberlain, even Shaqiri. Well, look, Shaqiri's been decent the last couple of games, but they're just not the answer. That it just shows how the squad isn't as deep as maybe we would have hoped.
It's deep, Ray. It is deep, but I just don't. I doubt. I mean, I know you said he changed it. He tried to change it. I'm going to say he didn't try to change it enough in terms of system. He changed the personnel.
Yeah, he did.
And even the personnel he changed was scrambled thinking again from Klopp, from the offset. As soon as that team lineup comes out, all of our reactions, I think everyone, and that's for the first time, we all agreed. And we looked at and focused on one player and we said, Divock. And that was a reaction of all of us. And the reason for that is because A, he hasn't been close to the first team, right? And B, there's a fellow we've bought there for about 7 million from Red Bull, right? Who played magnificent against us, settled in over the end of the season. And this season was supposed to be his sort of, getting stronger and getting better. He plays away at Crystal Palace in the last game where we scored a goal, and not only scored a goal, we scored fucking 7. And he was lively and he was good. And since then, Ray, make it make sense for me, or Andy, or Gav.
It makes no sense, Chris.
Since then, Gav, this was the first 10 minutes he's had since then. And I'm not joking. He was probably the liveliest forward when he came on in those 10 minutes. Just his movement. He was buzzing around like a little bumblebee. They're absolutely brain dead on the pitch. And Klopp is brain dead on the sideline. And for me, it's very, very worrying.
There's two. There
must be some
two ironic moments there. Two ironic moments there for me. One, the best opportunity, the gilt-edged chance that fell was to Origi, the fella who he trusted, and obviously he misses it. And the second ironic moment is the point at which he finally decides to throw his last card at this. Minamino is standing on the sideline waiting to come on and Burnley get a penalty and score. And it's like that those two moments just summed it up, really.
It really did. And Alex says there, people are dying for Shaq. He's not the answer, and now people act like Taki is the second coming of Rivaldo.
No one's thinking that.
No one's going on like that, Alex. Yeah. What I would say about Minamino is that when you look at the team, I think the first thing that will come across in the team, despite where you have to play players, we're trying to fill gaps. We are absolutely trying to fill gaps because you're losing your 2 centre midfielders to centre half. You're filling them in that gap, and then you're trying to fill midfield. With a player in Wijnaldum that has just ran into the ground by Liverpool and Holland this season. You have THIAGO that's only back from a medium-term injury. So he's trying to get back in. You've Oxlade-Chamberlain that hasn't played much football either. You've Shaqiri that hasn't played much football either. But for me, that's the one that annoys me. Origi is not a Liverpool player. I don't care what he's done in the past. I don't care if people want statues of him outside Anfield because of the goals he scored. They're all in the past. He hasn't done a fucking tap for Liverpool since the European Cup final. And that's the truth. And not even that he hasn't done a tap and tried. He doesn't try. He doesn't sprint. He doesn't chase. He doesn't throw himself around. He doesn't, he gets a one-on-one tonight and he should score. But without, I'm not going to absolutely go mental on him. But Minamino, for me, is the attacker out of all of them that would be the freshest to bring into this side. Now, I'm not saying he's the second coming of Rivaldo, as Alex says there. What I'm saying is he might be the spark you need. He mightn't get you 20 goals a season, but he might just rejuvenate 1 or 2 around him. He might take a bit of the workload off somebody because they're struggling. It's a very weird situation that Minamino hasn't seen more football time. And to be honest with you, Curtis Jones hasn't seen more, because I can't for the life of me understand how Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is in that team ahead of Oxlade, or he's in ahead of I'm lost here now. I can't understand how Oxlade-Chamberlain is in that side ahead of Curtis Jones, based A, on form, B, on availability, okay, and C, on what they've both done over the last 6 months. I cannot understand it. You are trying to integrate a guy that's coming back from injury, okay, into a side that's struggling, instead of using a guy that's got a bit of rhythm. He's had a couple of poor games, but who the fuck hasn't? You know what I mean? I genuinely can't understand that. The Minamino one bemuses me, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's not even the Minamino one. Sorry, Gav. I've got so much. Yeah, sorry, Andy.
Go on, Andy. I just want your opinion on Minamino.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. He was so good against Palace, and then we just didn't see him again. Up to that, then he hadn't started many games either. There's obviously something to do with his output and training that Klopp just doesn't like. he's just not fitting in with where he wants him to be, what he wants him to do. It's a bit of a mystery. You know, it's easy for us to say, why doesn't Klopp play Minamino? Why is the question his decisions? Origi starts ahead of certain players, or we don't understand it, but we don't get to see the full picture. We don't get to see what medical staff are saying. I mean, if Minamino's not able to put 90 minutes together at high intensity, then clearly he's not going to start games. And I think that's what it boils down to. It's just the big picture and the accumulation of all the inputs that go into a player starting a football match. So I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Minamino, I love him. I think he's a bit of a spark when he is on the pitch, and he was decent when he came on tonight. There's obviously something else going on.
You have to expect him to be playing on Sunday now, really, don't you?
Yeah, but do you? Like, we keep saying that. We keep saying it. Like, SALAH LFC says Trent's being poor, midfield the same. Genie slows the game. Firmino is done. Says sorry for that. Needs centre back, attacking one in the midfielder, and new faces at the front. Jonathan says, let's be honest, we've been poor for a year now, even with our best players. It's more than a blip, and we can't just turn our form back on. In my opinion, we need a new style of play. 4-3-3 is dead easy to defend. I think any system can be easy.
Can I add to that, Gav?
Go on.
To that conversation about system. Mm-hmm. And I do think he's been slightly unlucky, Klopp, in terms of changing the system and refreshing the system and the way we play. Because 4-3-3 did become predictable last season. Mm-hmm. It absolutely did. And all summer, me and you done so many shows, Gav, where we were excited to see the evolution of this new way of playing that we have to bring out. And we said THIAGO will add to that. Jota will add to that. And I said, we haven't done enough. Origi had to go in the summer. For whatever reason, he didn't go. Whether we were asking too much money, or teams weren't offering us enough, he had to go. We got rid of Brewster. We wanted to get rid of Shaq. We needed another attacker in the summer. Not to sort of suddenly say, oh, these guys are, bad players. They weren't doing nothing for us and haven't done anything for us. Let's get real. Let's be honest with ourselves. Origi, apart from score in the Champions League final and the odd goal in a Merseyside derby, his overall play for us has been absolutely awful. And I wasn't confident when he was going through there. I didn't think he was going to score. I absolutely didn't think he was going to score. So when Klopp keeps playing the same system, there has to be a blame attached to him. Because, for example, today he brings in Origi and he brings in Ox. It doesn't make sense to play Ox on the right wing. When was the last time Ox ran down the wing and whipped it in for Origi? He's playing Shaq in midfield with THIAGO, and then he's playing, I'm sorry to keep barking on about Origi again, but it just doesn't. It's scrambled thinking.
Well, Maverick says there,
ball after ball in that first half, he must have got a rocket up his ass. And second half, we tried to drill it along the floor.
Well,
and we nearly got there a couple of points.
Well, hold on.
Let me subject the formations and systems. Someone tell me how changing the fucking formation is going to make a difference to that team.
I don't think it's formation. I genuinely think it's application, and I think it's the energy that the team have. There's numerous. I genuinely think it's more down to that. I think they just haven't got it in them, and it's quite apparent looking at it. We're usually fast to the ball. We move it quick. We look to put teams under pressure. We try to suffocate them. It's not there. Teams are getting out. Teams are pressing us, because we're not moving it fast enough. It's just not there. The United fans in here are shouting at us, "Glory, glory, Man United," and stuff like that. That's great. You were asking for your manager to be sacked about 8 weeks ago. So relax, lads. That's all good. But Maverick makes this point, Andy, and I'll put it to you. He says Minamino was no silver bullet. He suffered like Origi, as not enough time given to him to get any sort of groove. More trust needed than Minamino and Origi. Is that a point, Andy, that they weren't used enough early in the season or brought in enough to I don't know, feel part of it, feel in a rhythm, or keep up a certain standard, and they're just being thrown in cold now?
It's unfair on Origi. Look, Origi was kind of in the exit. He was in the Parchers Lounge for quite a while. He wasn't getting many games at all last season, and you're throwing him in cold. He's at a different phase of his Liverpool career than Minamino is. Like, Minamino's the type of player who should be coming on in the last 10 minutes of every game, or should be starting the odd game here and there. Like, that's where he's at. Origi's on the exit. I see Origi starting. I'm not expecting much of him. When my Minamino starting, I'm excited. I want to see what this player has to offer. So far, what we've seen is good, but he's definitely a player who's going to benefit from getting more minutes. And unfortunately, he's being denied of them minutes for whatever reason it is. There's always going to be a reason, though. Klopp is not a tick. Like, if he's producing training and he's deserving of a starting in the team, he will. Just like Curtis Jones. Curtis Jones was obviously doing the business and training, hit the ground running when he started in the team, stayed in the team for a while. Whatever's happened lately, he's not favoured. But totally different situation there between Minamino and Origi. Origi's is just not going to, you forget about it if you're just going to play him 1 in every 10 games. Or that's for any player.
Yeah. Grizz, just moving on, just the one incident that comes out of it for me. Now, Origi does have a chance and stuff like that, but we've plenty of shots and a fair few on target. Pope is fairly comfortable for a lot of them, but the big incident, of course, is the penalty. You know, I've seen plenty say it was. I've seen plenty say he looked for it. I was kind of whatever. You know what I mean? Just the way it is. Like, you know what I mean? But
it was a clip.
You're happy it was a penalty and all good, yeah?
Absolutely clear penalty. There's absolutely no doubt about it. In 2020, we're not calling that a penalty. That's an absolute penalty. I don't give a shit if he was clever about it or smart about it or sly about it. You know, Alisson is the best goalkeeper in the world, and he's the only reason. He's the only thing that's sort of still brilliant about this Liverpool team right now. You know. Even a couple of saves he made, and a couple of them were offside, whatever.
Matip was good.
Matip was absolutely brilliant, I must admit. Matip and Fabinho were faultless apart from that incident, but you can't really blame them for that. And it was just a error of judgment. Is that what it's called?
It was unfortunate, Grizz. It was just
unfortunate. Yeah, he got there first.
Liverpool don't defend as a unit. When a team attacks to so much space, it's very difficult. It's very difficult for them not to make the odd mistake in those scenarios.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, look, you're right. Absolutely. There's not zero positives. The positives are, but even Matip's not a positive, Andy. It frustrates the shit out of you.
That's a positive.
He's so good. Yeah. He's so fucking good. Did you see how good he was? He absolutely bullied both of them. And you could see he was playing with more responsibility. And you think to yourself, you fucking packet of Twix, what's the matter with you? Why can't you play more for Liverpool? Why can't you play more for us? How he doesn't even that positive turns into a negative. Because you think to yourself,
he doesn't let us down on the pitch. He doesn't let us down when he's
absolutely.
Playing.
But Ray, we've known about this
injury record. That's it.
But Ray, how long have we known about this injury record?
Oh, it's set in stone now, Grizz. It's not going to change.
2-3 years. We've known that he only plays 30% of the games. Is that good enough for us?
No.
Are we relying on him?
It's not though. But you see, it's very interesting to me that you've seen updates on Van Dijk and Gomez in the last couple of days from Liverpool themselves. Sorry, Kevin Borland had a super chat in for £5 and he just didn't say anything in it. So I think it's just a donation. So thanks again, Kevin. Matty Tariq says 9 halves of football now, no goals. I'm scared. Yeah, that's okay. That's absolutely allowed because Liverpool are shy at the moment. You can say it, they are, and you can stand up and just go, yeah, they're crap. They're playing brutal. That happens. But listen,
it's not
don't
money,
worry.
is it? It looks like money.
What?
NOK, and he's given us 20 of
Norwegian Coronas.
Norwegian Coronas, yeah, 20.
That's real money. How much is that in real life?
I don't know.
In real life,
I don't know. I don't know, but listen, it's absolutely fine to come out and say Liverpool are playing brutal. It's absolutely fine to be annoyed, but just don't worry about it. We won't be online calling for our manager to be sacked. And then if we win next week, he's the best thing since sliced bread, like others do. So don't worry about it. But Andy, for you, penalty, you're all right with it? No,
yeah,
no
I'm
problem
fine
there.
with it. You know, like if Liverpool were playing well and that's and we are 1-0 up and or 2, whatever. It's a knife edge decision. I'm looking at that over and over again. I didn't even look at the replay. I just says fuck off. Like you get yourself into those messes. You know what I mean? Liverpool should have had that game won in the first half. You shouldn't even be analysing penalty decisions. You give a referee a decision and it goes against you. Tough bollocks. You have to accept that in football. It's not like it was a blatantly wrong decision. I could see one look at it that it was possibly a penalty. You know what I mean? Fabinho pulls it back and then Alisson comes out and spreads himself and he catches him. It's a penalty. Just move on. That's not the problem there tonight.
Yeah.
The problem we've given ourselves now, Gav, I think is, and this has been obviously accumulating recently. We now give teams obviously the hope that they're going to get something from playing us, and it's like teams are setting a stall out like they've got something to hold on to and protect from an early stage. You see it now. It's clear. Like teams are just going to come and they're going to put 2 banks of 4 there, and they're just going to say, "Try and break us down." There's also that air of invincibility that's completely gone, and the psychology of this, I think, is massive. The home record's gone. People now will come to Anfield, and I don't think they will fear us anywhere near. Look at United the other day; they weren't brave enough to go for that win. Really, the reality is now that home record's gone. The next home game is Brighton in a few weeks' time. Brighton are actually a lot better on the attacking end of the pitch. We've seen Brighton in recent games. They can play the ball around. They've got a goal or 2 in them when they come to Anfield in a few weeks. And I think if we, look, I'm not predicting right now that we lose 2 on the bounce, but we're going to have to be in much better form in I think it's two midweeks time to actually win that next home game.
Yeah. Ati Hovenin says, and I hope I've said your name right, he says, it doesn't matter if United don't win the league as long as Liverpool don't. Well. Maverick.
It means that where we were a few years ago, which is
it's more important that Liverpool don't win the league than United actually do win it. So yeah, okay. Maverick says we have to suck it up and just focus on one game at a time, but we need to mix things up. Need a plan B and C pronto. Grizz, that's what I wanted to get to, because look, we know the game is shit. We've talked about a couple of incidents in it. We've talked about a couple of players in it. But I wanted to get your opinion on it. And keep it in mind, lads, the 3 is I want you to kind of think, what would you do to get us out of it? Change of personnel, tactics, what would you do? But just before we do, Van Dijk and Gomez, I was talking to you about that and the posts from there. It's very interesting that they're made. I think that's a signal, a massive signal, that no centre-back will come in January, because they expect these 2 boys back, and then they hold on to Matip and they hold on to Fabinho, and you're back at the start of this season in August. I'm starting to wonder whether they'll just go with that again. Grizz?
It does look like that, and we talk about it being a risk. I think it's more than a risk. I think it's absolute footballing suicide, if you ask me. If they're waiting for Gomez, forget Gomez. He's done for the season. There's no way Gomez is coming back for the season. Van Dijk, I do believe he's going to be back, but to not do anything on the basis of waiting for Van Dijk, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. We've known about the centre back situation. Does anyone know when Gomez got injured? In what game week it was? Or
no, it was in the international break.
Wasn't it? The first international break.
It's about 3 months ago.
Around November.
It was after the Everton game, wasn't it? Was it an international break after the Everton game, and then he got injured? Might have been a couple of weeks later.
We've known. So look, we've known that our 2 centre backs, our main centre backs, are not going to be available for majority of the season for 2-3 months now. We've known that, and we've also known that Matip is the other centre back that we were relying on, and we also knew we're going to rely on our best DM, which has destabilized the reason, Ray, that you said teams come to Anfield or play us and think they've got a chance because we've got a fragile spine from having the best spine ever, in my opinion, with Alisson, Virgil, Fabinho. Fucking hell. Yeah, you don't get a stronger spine than that. We've absolutely dismantled that spine completely by relying on Fabinho as a centre back, and therefore having one less world-class midfielder in there. We still haven't approached January like we should have. You know how Klopp said we should have attacked this league. We should have attacked January, and as Gav said in previous shows, bring forward any plans we may have had for sum up. Do what you got to do, like we did with Virgil van Dijk in the first place. They asked for 70 million. Suddenly, we thought we would get him for 50 million, but we ended up paying the 70 million because we knew it was crucial to our chances of winning the league. And look, lo and behold.
But I like Grizz, I fully agree a centre half should come in for multiple reasons. One, you're playing the two centre midfielders there. Two, Matip's injury record. And three, I don't want to see Fabinho as our number 4, right? But I think if I've tried to look at this objectively, and I think it's hard to bring in a centre back that you want to bring in, and a centre back that's going to come in knowing that the best he's going to be is third choice. Especially in January, especially with the money you'd have to spend, and especially the players you could get. I was all for bringing forward plans, paying levies, and just going and doing
no problem.
But I think you convinced me by saying, Gav, this is a two-way street. These clubs don't want to get rid of them, and the players we're looking at are probably still in Europe, probably chasing league titles, and the clubs are under no pressure to sell. So I've been influenced a little bit by you and your opinion, which I think overall is probably correct over mine. I will say that to you, but I think it's hard, just the way that has come out from the club. I'm thinking that they're basically telling us our two main men will be back, at some stage. All is good. Fabinho, they were comfortable with as 4 choice. It's the Matip thing. So if you get rid of Matip because of his record, who are you going to bring in that you could look to see have a big future at Liverpool, but literally come in and go, your third choice, mate. Your third choice. You may break in and get to be a partner alongside Virgil van Dijk or Gomez, depending on injuries. But at the moment, you're coming in as third choice. And I think there is a lot of players out there that shy away from Liverpool because they don't feel they can get in the team. And I think it's affecting the players we have, because the players we have in certain positions are looking going, I've no competition here. And I think it is coming into that. Sham says, we're in January and everyone is writing Liverpool off, even Liverpool fans. I do not understand this as a football fan. That's just reactionary because of what's gone on over the last couple of weeks. But you never know. But I think
it's it's not a hot take. It's not reactionary, not really. Now. Like this is whatever, run of poor results, not scoring goals, so much more going on. I look fair play to Sean. He's in the comments there and behaving himself and having a bit of banter with the lads. Fair play to you. Welcome along. Like, no problem with United fans coming in and
none at all
and having a bit of crack. And he's probably looking at this from a way more objective standpoint. He's as a United fan, he's suffered for a few years now. And United have gone from being a laughing stock, and they were bottom half in the league a few months ago, to they're top of the league now. So, like, that's how quickly things can change in football. We could be sitting here in March, and we're top of the league again. But look, that's just the feelings as it is at the moment. Yeah. It's not so much a reaction after tonight's result. It's more so where is the next?
Yeah,
win?
I want to clarify that, because
goal coming from.
A few people have said that, no, it's not a reaction. I don't mean over tonight's game. I mean over the piece of 4 or 5 games. The reaction to what's gone on over the last 4 or 5 is that, look, we're not going to compete, or we might have to write off this season with regards to the Premier League because it's just not there. That's what I mean by reactionary. I don't mean, we got beaten by Burnley and everyone's head falls off. It's something that it's enough of a sample size for me, especially with the opposition that we've had, to suggest that there's issues there and stuff like that. So I wanted to clarify.
Reality is there's a lot of Liverpool fans, and we would describe as quite rational, as who've just identified that Liverpool since kind of February last year haven't been great. They haven't, especially since COVID and the return of football. Like, since then, I think United have the most points per game ratio out of anyone, and these last 4 or 5 games, is the worry goes back beyond that. Even when Van Dijk was fit, we were conceding a lot of goals. So there is cause for concern. That's why I keep saying we don't really. It's very hard to put your finger on where the problem lies. You shut up laughing.
Oh no, I'm not laughing at you. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at something else. Go on. You're allowed to laugh.
No, I thought you were laughing at the finger.
Oh no. I laughed at that for ages. I'm over it.
No, so like there is a question to be asked about Klopp's style of motivation. He really does get players to peak out. Like he puts players on a drug, the psychological drug of ambition, and he makes promises on the training ground that if you put the work in, it will come to fruit. But there's a major backlash from that, and that's the law as well. And I think we've seen a lot of that. Like they kind of not limped over. They put a good lead ahead of themselves, but they limped over the line in the end. And this season has been just a continuation of that limp. So there's lots of questions to be asked.
Ray, we've United in the Cup, which I don't have any time for the FA Cup. I'm being honest with you. I'll watch it, but I don't hinge a season on it or get too upset if we win or lose or get too hyped up if we win. But you look at that, and then you have Spurs, don't you? On next Thursday. Who follows on? Who do we follow on with then?
West Ham away.
West Ham away.
Decent run of form.
Yeah, there's a decent run of form there, and there's a decent run of games. What do you do, Ray? Because nothing's going to change squad wise in that time. We're on every 22nd of January now, and we're 9-10 days away from the window closing, and I can't see anything happen. But Ray, what do you do to just break this cycle that's going on? Because when you get into these cycles, it's hard to get out of them. Do we have to change formations, approach, personnel? What are we going? What are we doing?
Well, I think for starters, I think it is important that we get a positive result on Sunday, irrelevant of the context of the FA Cup and everything. Like, we've had a run of take the Villa FA Cup game out of it. Like we've had two draws. Have we 2 draws? We've had 2 defeats. Yeah. I mean, look, it's an awful run of form that we're on, but I think I am really hoping that next week against Spurs, because that's now everything's been a must-win game for the last 3 or 4 games. The must-win game now against Spurs, I really want to see our strongest 11 out on the pitch that we can select at this time, and by that I mean I want to see, obviously, Fabinho and Matip again at centre-back. I want to see Henderson back in the midfield. I want to see the 3 lads. I want to give them another chance up top. I don't want to be part-arsing around with trying to drop Firmino and playing Origi. It would be lovely. I don't know how far away he is. It'd be lovely to get Jota back in the mix sooner rather than later, because I think he'll give us a massive boost. I think he's just got to go with his strongest available and just put his faith and say, look, show me what you can do, because I don't think Spurs away is too bad a game to be going at, to be honest with you. I think we could get into a proper game of football with them, and I think that in some ways will suit us to get into a proper game of football.
Yeah.
He's way too smart for that. Jose's way too smart for that.
I don't want to get into sport. I don't want to get into sports in particular.
Yeah, I'm not sorry.
Grizz, what are you doing, Grizz?
No, absolutely what Ray said. Absolutely what Ray said. There's no option but to put faith in the players that have got you sort of all the success, and the core of them are here now and still here. And he has to. He's put faith in them, and they've brought us the glory that we've seen. It won't be from the likes of Ox and Shaq and everything, and definitely not Origi. He has to play the best 11 players that he's got, the ones that have sort of won the most and played the most minutes, and it's exactly the 11 near enough that Ray's sort of picked there, but plus THIAGO. And we do that until Jota gets back to fitness, and we pray that he's still as sharp as he was when he got that injury, because it will take him a couple of weeks to get sharp again. I just don't see. I just don't see how he can do anything else, Gav. There is absolutely. He tried to do something else today, and it absolutely backfired massively. Today was his try to do something different game.
It was.
Which I disagree with, Ray. Today wasn't the game to do something different.
No, and against the team that's as well drilled and well organised as Burnley, it's not a moment to start trying to stretch by dropping both Salah and Firmino. That's something you do in the FA Cup or the League Cup, you know. Which
we had the opportunity, or he had the opportunity to do on Sunday.
Yeah.
Which would have given ample time for the players that play today to be fresh for, as you label it, a must-win game on Thursday or next Wednesday, whenever we play Spurs. I think
next Thursday. I think it is
next Thursday.
Yeah.
So it's scrambled from the team, and it seems to be scrambled thinking from the management. Now, sometimes managers do get in a state of sort of, you know, sleepwalking through periods of the season. But this is maybe where you need a number two, a strong number two, to step in and give him some ideas or hold him. Maybe is Pep Lijnders as strong or as clever and as smart as he makes out in his interviews or whatever. This is the time to give him Klopp other options, freshen up, you know, or give him suggest other options, suggest other formations. It seems to be continuous brain dead football at the time. I mean, that first half today was absolutely shocking, guys. The way we played against Burnley, where was the tactical analysis that we've done? Where was the thinking to sort of just keep lumping the same crosses into the biggest bunch of lumberjacks, all of them, absolute lumberjacks? And it was like, honestly, as I said, it was like giving candy to kids. They were just eating everything up in that first half.
I am
Sign Coutinho.
or see what Samuel is up to. For me, I think it's, you know what, we could do without the United game, and I don't mean it because it's United. I think we could do without it. I'd love Spurs away to be our next game. I'm being. What are you laughing at now? Are you suggesting something the manager? I don't know if he is. That's Veranda Cheese, of course, who nearly got us shut down a couple of days ago when he
just take a Lara Kling film off Klopp.
Yeah, off Klopp, and he'd be absolutely fine. I think we could do without. I'd like Spurs to be our next game because United one is a bit of a halfway house, isn't it? What do you do? Who do you go with? Rod Meta says he needs a Klopp hug. I think Klopp needs a hug at the minute.
He does.
But
he's
I'm sure
not allowed to give out hugs.
He's not allowed to give out hugs. You're not allowed unless you're wrapped in cling film. Klopp can then give you a hug. But Rod,
can we, Gav? Can we just say? I think we've got to mention the sort of the flare up at half time though, when Klopp absolutely lost it there in the tunnel. Like, I mean, it was so OTT, his reaction, like that just showed like the level of frustration that's boiling up. I mean, Dyche was practically kind of laughing in his face, essentially, the way the whole body language was looking, and it like that was as alarming as anything, really. Like, you've got to be a little bit concerned about his sort of demeanor and his thought process at the moment. You know, like something is a little bit off with the manager. And it's not like this. It's not having a go. You know,
but Ray, I've no problem with something being off of the manager. I want something to be off the manager. With the form we're in, we draw with West Brom, we draw with Newcastle, we lose to Southampton. You know what I mean? We draw with United. And we lose to Burnley. I want something to be off the manager.
But it goes back further. It goes back further, though, doesn't it? It goes back to when we were still top of the league, and he snaps at Des Kelly about the whole. He kind of. It feels like he's building up this mentality of the world being against him and being against Liverpool and being against for whatever reason. It's the siege mentality that's crept in, and it's crept in a bad way.
He's an emotional man. Like there's again, it's the highs and the lows. Like when he over celebrates goals, that's just his personality. And when things are down, when the chips are down for him, he overreacts too. That's just his personality. And it's I suppose like one of the strongest traits of his personality is one of his weaknesses as well. That he gets shown up.
Well, you see the thing with Klopp is, sorry, Grizz, and I'll get to you now. The thing with Klopp is that people, you know, when he's happy and jovial and doing all mad stuff, people overhype it for me, you know, and they say, oh, he's shown off and he's this, he's not. I think he's just like that. But I think Klopp can be very high and very animated in happy emotion, and the same when he's not so happy. So it's very easy. He's actually a very easy target, and it's not having a go with him, but it is an easy target for him because people can have a go with him for being too jovial or too happy or whatever. And then as soon as he's a bit low and he might react to something, they can absolutely jump on him for the simple reason that they have examples of him being, oh, it's all great, isn't it? And hugs when things are going well. But I've no issue with Klopp and his demeanour. To be honest, if I was managing Liverpool and what's happened to us this season has happened, I'd be fucking annoyed and I'd be kind of getting in people's faces as well.
Gav,
I've no issue with that.
He's the first one to admit that. You know, if Klopp is sat down in a calm environment and he talks about, if he's asked about how he's reacting on the pitch, he said sometimes he looks at himself and he doesn't even, he can't relate to it. He can't believe that's him. It's just the reaction there and then, and that's what he is. He's an intelligent man. He speaks so well about everything, life, relationships, just morals. And he's what?
Sorry. Go on.
What are we going to say?
Go on, say it, Chris.
I was going to segue into something opposite.
Okay. Well, Sham, just before you do, Sham, who's a United fan, he's been in here all night. He says, "Bye, everybody. Stay safe. No matter who you support, protect your families. COVID-free." Great. You're heading off, Sham. Fair play to you. United fan, you're always welcome here. Once he keeps the chat as he kept it tonight, so fair play to you.
Anyway, look, all I was going to say was I admire that in a person, that they can express their feelings. He's like, if I'm watching a match, I'm a bit like that. I go fucking bananas, but it doesn't take me long to cool down and say, relax, cop onto yourself. But screaming at the telly, screaming at the referee, the kids upstairs in bed, and I'm shouting cunt at the referee. It's not normal behavior. And 5 seconds later, I'm calm and I'm relaxed. And I appreciate that when the manager who's managing Liverpool wears his heart on his sleeve. Even if he's a bit of a laughing stock to opposition fans. Well, we won the league last year and we won the Champions League the year before that. Yeah. So
I just found it a bit odd though. I'm just looking at Dan Jay's comments saying that he'd have taken the head off Dyche and he didn't overreact. He was naturally upset. But I don't understand what he was upset at, because if you look at it, Klopp is halfway down the tunnel when the incident happens. Dyche is walking towards the tunnel and sees the incident, and then as he goes down the tunnel, he says something to Klopp, and Klopp reacts. It was just really weird. It was a really weird sequence of events, and it just to me it shows that Klopp's on is consistently Ray, on the edge now.
But Ray, if Liverpool went into this game and we're on a decent run of form and we're 2-0 up at half time and Dyche says something and Klopp reacts like that, or we wouldn't even be talking about it. Do you know what I mean? We'd be just saying, oh, look, something happened in the tunnel. Fair play to Klopp. Look at him standing up for himself. But because of what's going on and because of where we are, it's going to be thrown the other way. It's an easy thing to. That's just my thoughts on it. It's an easy thing to do. Do you know what I mean?
I think Sky was sick actually, because they have a camera coming into the sort of tunnel, and they obviously didn't have it turned on, and they made sure at the end that they had it turned on just in case something else happened, but they didn't get anything.
Look, I just want to sort of segue from what Andy was saying, and I totally agree, and we totally appreciate the human side of Klopp. And he's us. How many times have we said he's exactly like how we would be? So I understand the emotional side of him, and it appeals to us, and it's a perfect fit for him and everything. And he's been like that throughout his career. But there sometimes comes a point where you need to, Andy, you made a brilliant point in terms of, and he usually calms down afterwards and thinks, I went a bit OTT, and he talks about it and he calms down and he thinks, everything's all right. Well, there needs to be a point where he carries that on, that emotion, that anger, into the people that employ him, and sometimes demand things. In my opinion, I think he's sometimes, and he's got a tendency, and his track record shows with previous owners and previous relationship with fans and players. I think he's He's got to develop a more ruthless streak. Now, I just want you guys, I know we've been on air, so we don't know what Klopp said in the interview. I just want you to read, I want to read out what he said. Someone obviously asked him about the transferring window. These decisions are not mine. I cannot decide if we do something. It is not something I am thinking about. And then he went on to say, this group can do better. You know, I believe in these players, etc., etc. Now, you know, in a predicament that you give to Mourinho, to Ferguson of the past, or to who's the current manager? I can't even think of any fucking good managers currently. Pep, whoever. They go into this predicament that Liverpool, the champions,
Did Pep ever have to fucking respond to something like that?
The current Premier League champions, previously Champions League winners, haven't spent hardly anything in the last 4 or 5 windows. 3 players, I think, in the last 4 windows. If he's gone into a predicament, any of those managers that's in that predicament demand a centre-back on the 1st of January. That's the only thing I will say I am proper frustrated and angry about, that he hasn't done that. Because that statement shows, I had doubts, I had suspicions that was the case, but that statement proves that he isn't demanding it. He's saying, if you can do something, it would be nice. I'd appreciate it. That's not a trait of an absolute ruthless, cold-blooded killer, in my opinion. And
Grizz, you have to remember.
You don't know what he's saying in the background.
Exactly, and you see, the thing is, Grizz, and I go back to this again. When Liverpool make signings and they're great signings and they're really successful, all we talk about is Jurgen Klopp, Michael Edwards, and whoever else is behind the scenes looking at the transfers. How they all get together, how they run names past each other, they take everybody's opinion, they come to an agreement, and it's a great team. And as soon as we don't sign anyone, it's all, oh well, Klopp should be demanding and Klopp should be this, and now it's all now there's a split in the camp, and now it's, you know, one is not helping the other. What's to say? And look, I have to say, I keep saying this, I think we should sign a centre-back, and I actually think we should sign a forward player as well, for the record. But what's to say they haven't sat down and went, look, we're looking at this is what we think, and they've come to an agreement that, listen, at the moment we're not going to do anything unless A, B or C becomes available or is possible to do.
I've agreed
What's
with
to say that hasn't happened?
Gav, I agree. You missed my point. I've agreed that is probably what's happened. I agree with you, but I'm saying that shouldn't be the case. I think sometimes a coach who knows his players.
But the plans.
Sorry, go on.
So all I'm saying is the plan. It feels obvious now that the plan, you know, was set probably sometime in December. The plan's probably set at a point where we're top of the league. They think that we potentially have enough to maintain a title challenge, even if we did come up short. But ultimately, we're in a title race. I think, you know, we are top of the league. Let's not get away from that. And then all of a sudden, 2 points out of a possible, or 3 points, out of a possible 15. And the whole thing has changed by the 21st of January. It is absolute. It's something that you probably would never have even considered when you would have sat down and set this plan and agreed on it, you know, around a table, you know, virtual table or whatever, whichever way it was decided that we would target.
So, so why did, in that case, why did many of us see that? You're saying it couldn't have been seen, but we saw it. As soon as we were in November without no centre-backs, everyone's hopes were that we will need a centre-back. Sorry, we will buy a centre-back because we will need it. And there was a very likelihood that results will falter. So
yeah,
I know,
but we can make that decision without looking at the finances and everything else that goes with it. We can take a very one-dimensional view of it. That the people who are sitting there and actually making the decisions have to look at different aspects of it.
I think it's more down to player availability than it is finance. I'm being honest with you.
A bit of everything, exactly.
I genuinely think I think if there's 4 centre halves out there that we have on the list, I could nearly guarantee you 4 of them are probably still in Europe or chasing a league title somewhere. And the clubs that they're with are saying, look, you're on a 3-year deal. It's not like you've 18 months left and we need to get money in now. You're on a 3-year deal, and we're chasing this down. We're chasing this league, or we're chasing the European competition, or wherever it might be. And you can absolutely go in the summer, but you're going nowhere now, and we don't give a fuck what we're offered. I think it's down to that more than anything else.
We've shown in the past that we don't do reactionary signings, and we spend money when it's necessary. We bought the best goalkeeper in the world and broke the world record for.
We only spend when it's necessary, though, Andy. That's the problem. Huh? We spend when it's necessary. That's the key element.
Yeah. So
this is necessary.
But it's not necessary because you've got players that are coming back from injury.
Oh, it is absolutely, Andy. It is necessary.
It's necessary, Andy. It's necessary. It's not necessary to go out and if they have a player in mind, say 4 players that are available in the summer that aren't available now, it's not necessary to double, like to go and spend 80 million on a player that may or may not work out a centre back. That's not necessary.
Yeah, but no, Andy.
Hold on, I want to reply.
It's absolutely necessary that we sign a centre back, Andy.
No. Andy, what Andy's saying, I agree with, because it relates to what you said earlier in terms of, let's say we've got 3-4 targets, and they're all in Europe, and they're all currently playing, and we can't get hold of them now, right? I understand that aspect, but let's not shy away from criticizing our scouting network and Michael Edwards, etc. Because just like Gav said earlier, when things are going rosy, we call it the best scouting network in the world. You're trying to tell me the best scouting network in the world and the best director of football, Michael Edwards, can't find a centre back currently better than the ones we have waiting in reserve, who, by the way, Klopp doesn't trust, and as he's shown and as he's proved.
We know.
And we said, oh, maybe that's a statement to the owners. Well, now after reading his interview now, I think that was a statement to the owners. Well, I'm going to play Henderson there, my captain, alongside my best DM, because I do not trust Phillips and Williams. Are we saying we can't find a centre back in the world?
But you see, I think the easiest way to look at this is when you get to the summer, if Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez are back to full fitness, right? You have to ask yourself the question: are you comfortable going into season 21-22 with Van Dijk, Gomez, Matip and Fabinho as your 4 centre halves? I think it's shown this year that 1 injury hurt us, 2 injuries decimated us, and we did. And the third fella in that is not seen around most of the time, and the 4th guy should be in midfield. You know what I mean? So that's the question you need to ask yourself. And I think the answer to that is no. Under no circumstances should we be going into the start next season with the 4 that we started this season for numerous reasons. So that's why a centre-back is absolutely necessary. And I'll stick to that. But the only thing I would caveat with, and I've said it before, is that I think it's a personnel thing. I think finances are included because people are saying there, Kevin Sullivan saying, France have lost money on TV money and all. And I get that. But Liverpool are losing money hand over fist as well. Everybody's losing money. It's as simple as that. They're losing money. Liverpool lose about 2 million a game every time they play at home. And I would say now they've probably played 15 games at home with no crowds. Would they? Easy. So they're 30 million quid down before we even start. Now I'm not making excuses. I'm not making excuses for FSG. We're by no means skint. That's point.
Hold on. If we're not skint, then what's the issue then? Kev, I think getting the personnel that you want is the issue. I think finances do have something to do with it because throwing out 30 million quid now. Do we need 2 centre backs or 1 centre back, Gav? If you're the coach or any of us, do we need 1 centre back or 2 centre backs in the next 2 windows? We need 2. Are we going to buy 2 centre backs in the summer?
I don't know, Chris.
Probably not.
Well, opinion, man. I'm asking your opinion. You ask me.
My opinion, I think it's very possible. It's very doable, in my opinion, because I think you bring somebody into absolutely. Matip for me is great when he's on the pitch, but he's not on it enough, right? And that's said for a couple of players in our squad. I think you could absolutely bring somebody in to replace Matip. Will you buy
2 centre backs, Gav, next season?
Well, I'm trying to answer that question that you've asked.
I've got to ask Andy and Ray the same question.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to answer you. So what I'm saying to you is, For me, would I sign 2? Yes. Will we sign 2? I don't know. But the way I could see it being done is that you could sign a centre half that would absolutely challenge Joe Gomez for his position, and then you would bring somebody in to take out Fabinho, take out Matip, bring somebody in to absolutely challenge Joe Gomez or Virgil van Dijk, depending on how high this player wants to or sees himself, and then bring in a young centre half that you're going to progress over the next year, 2 or 3 years, and move Fabinho out of there. I think that solves the problem. Can it be done? Yeah. Is it doable? Yeah. Will it be done? Grizz, I honestly don't know.
I think we only need one more.
I think Gomez is finished, and we sign a player.
Wow.
What?
Finished.
Yeah, his knee blew up, like just running along on a pitch. He's fucked.
I agree with you.
There was lots of questions asked about Gomez's ability before.
Correct.
I actually agree with you, Andy.
Gomez is I loved him for a while. I thought this is great. He was staying fit, his pace, it was perfect for the high line, but it started to turn a little bit bad for him, and now his knee has just given up. He's had an injury, a horrific injury, and I think everybody knows it inside football that his career is under serious jeopardy at the moment. And Liverpool are playing at the absolute highest level, challenging for leagues, Champions League.
Agree with you,
Gomez is a first choice centre back for someone. I don't see him ever being our first choice beside Van Dijk again. I think Liverpool signed 2 centre backs in the summer, absolutely, because you can't rely on Matip either. They might even buy 3 if they can't promote.
You just buy a half dozen. Give us a half dozen of them. Kieran Thorne said,
Can I just go on? Do the super chat, but I want to ask Grizz a question.
Yeah, okay. And we need to get out of here because it's 11:30. I have I've golf to be playing on the Xbox with Veranda Cheese. A centre back is needed, but people need to realise, and I can't reiterate enough, FSG are not cash rich. They have assets. We are in rebuild territory, not stopgaps, says Kieran Thorne. Andy, you want to ask Grizz a question?
Well, yeah, I do. Grizz, you said Klopp.
This is like. Do you ever see anything on the telly? Go on, you, the man at the back there. You go, yeah. Hey, Andy here.
Andy here for Green Hills. No, you said at the start, there was a thing about Klopp. I don't know whether you're trying to suggest that he's kind of a yes man. Was it?
Yeah.
That he doesn't come out and question the owners, and then he says he's making statements by playing Henderson centre back. So he's kind of saying what he wants to say on the sly by doing certain things. Well, I don't know, Grizz. Like, Klopp is never. I wouldn't have respect for Klopp if he broke that chain now. I mean, as soon as Klopp starts calling out the owners, it's all over.
Yeah, it's Rafa territory, isn't it?
It's complete. It's over for him. He's fucked. They will. They'll have it. They won't support him in the transfer market. They'll support him in nothing. They won't support him in renewing people's players' contracts. Players like Mane, Salah, do you want to hang on to? He'd be just told no. They're getting sold. So at the beginning of the end, it's for this to work, and it's worked very well since Klopp has come in. Don't forget, it's worked extremely well. Everything that's happened has worked well. He's achieved far and beyond what we expected at one stage. He's not going to start calling out his owners. I wouldn't expect the owners to start calling out Klopp. I wouldn't expect players to call out Klopp. I wouldn't expect Klopp's backroom staff to start calling out Klopp or backward. Like, the whole thing has worked extremely well as a unit. We're talking about a season here where shit has gone. Everything that's gone wrong has gone wrong. Like, everything that's great about Liverpool has gone wrong. The crowd, the fans, like the injuries, COVID, Klopp's, just all of the things that makes Klopp great, and all the tools he uses to make us great and inspire the team and motivate the team has gone tits up. He's going to hit the panic button and start publicly saying FSG aren't doing this, that, and the other in the transfer market. He's explaining to people that it's not as simple as how people think. The money's not there, but he's not going to turn around and say the money's not there, but I still want it. Like, he's not some fucking head case.
I've lost your question in that statement, but I understand.
Okay, so I'll answer the question. I'll answer the question. Is Klopp a yes man?
He's asking it again.
Yeah, no, I understand the gist of it.
Oh, I just gotta go and boil the kettle.
I'll ask you the actual question. Is Klopp, is Klopp
Answer the fucking question, Grizz.
He hasn't asked me. Yeah, for fuck's sake, I'm waiting for an answer, right to
It's
reply.
amazing. Andy, would you if
So-
you could send that question via free post to
No, I'm going to be very brief. I'm going to
On a scale of 1 to 10.
It's on a postcard.
I'm just going to. Right.
go.
I think he has called them out today. I think this quote will be held against the owners because why? We're still in the window. Do you think Klopp, because Klopp is a very clever man and you say it very often, he's no tick. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, you did.
Right? He's a very clever man. Do you think in the middle of the transfer window, he said that statement and he doesn't think that's going to bring major heat on the owners? We know what Twitter toxic fan bases can be with regards to owners when there's no money being spent. We know, don't we, Andy? Me and you know very well how mad FSG outists can be. Absolute mentalists. You've got your best coach ever saying it's out of my hand. That's what he said there. Read it in your own time because that's what he said in there. I also disagree about the contracts and we won't be giving up. I think there's going to be contract issues. Ginny is the first. There's been a contract issue. We haven't been able to agree. I think Mohamed Salah has made an issue about his contract. There will be noise about Mohamed Salah. I think it's a very crucial part of FSG's tenure now with Klopp, and they have to sort this out. It's not being played out behind closed doors. Mohamed Salah has done an interview without his permission. When was the last time someone went behind Klopp's back in tenure and done an interview with, hold on, a Spanish media company, not sort of local journalists, whatever? Do you think Klopp thought that was fine? That's fuming. This is undermining Klopp. Now, if you think Klopp is just happy with all this, then he's absolutely a yes man. I don't want him to be. Mohamed Salah, Gini's contract, and the just transfer win, and this statement he's made today, that is a massive statement. I don't even dare go on Twitter now. Twitter will be absolutely on fire saying, fucking bunch of wankers, FSG, get them out of our club. Even Klopp, see, are you happy? You're going to get a lot of tweets saying, are you happy, Top Red? You always defending FSG. Klopp knows all this. Klopp's on Twitter. We know he is on social media. He's put heat on the owners. Do something.
It's yeah, you could actually read into that. Do you know something? But I'm going to go after this show and just look to see exactly what was said and what context was said in. Klopp says, if Klopp has said it's not in my hands, you could read anything you want into that, Chris, depending on what angle you want to go at. You could absolutely read into it that he's having a go at the owners. You could absolutely read into that.
You know me, I don't read.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying you in particular. Like, you're taking that literally now. What I mean, I'm not talking to you directly. I'm just one-on-one in here. Okay. But what I mean is, you could read into this that, you know, yes, he's having a go. You could read into it that the decision has been made and he's not happy with it. Or you could read into it that the club have looked and tried and it's not in his hands because the people they want to get the players they want to get in, someone isn't playing ball with them. You could read it any way you want.
Lads, I think even when things were going great, Klopp answered the transfer questions exactly the same.
Correct. He did, in fairness. Yeah, he did. We'll see. Don't know. Very vague.
Just looking at Free World's comments, it's been something that's been on the tip of my tongue for the last 10 minutes. The Coutinho money's been spent, lads. Yeah.
This
absolutely has. This like it's official.
We're awaiting the SALAH money. We're awaiting the SALAH money now.
But this, should we be surprised?
And it shouldn't be.
Should we be surprised though if that's the way it pans out? Because like, why would they suddenly start? Like, everyone thinks we're going to sign Mbappe.
Yeah.
Like, you know, where's that coming from?
Look, listen. I'm not going in. Yossi says. Yossi says, have you heard the theory of Liverpool using caffeine and other substances to boost players' ability, which has lasted for 2 years and now the lads are drained? What happens with cyclists too? I haven't heard that, Yossi. I haven't heard that at all. But listen, it's been been an hour and 23 minutes of. I've enjoyed it. It's been good, despite what the
Therapy,
context
isn't it?
of.
It's fucking
Yeah,
therapy,
it's
isn't
a
it?
bit of therapy. Listen, there's been loads of people in the chat tonight. It's been absolutely flying. If you can hit the like button on your way out, that'd be absolutely brilliant. You know, there's been people from other clubs there, and overall, the vast majority have been excellent as well, and fair play to them. And you're always very welcome. Andy, anything else before we go?
No.
You're good. No more questions for Grizz. Would you like to repeat that question for the third time for the crack?
Ask me,
No.
bollocks.
You'd never get a straight answer off Grizz.
I
He's
know,
the
yeah,
ultimate politician. I don't know how he's not in the House of Commons or whatever the fuck they
I
call
thought I
it.
gave a
over there.
straight answer to the last one.
You didn't, your bollocks.
No, he didn't. He's absolute. He's like Grizz Blair. We should call him. He's like Tony Blair. He is. He's a brilliant.
Well, as I
brilliant,
asked you a
brilliant
very important
politician.
question in the WhatsApp group today, and no one sort of replied to me.
Oh,
except
was this
Big
about?
Joe
Was this
Walsh.
about your electric toothbrush? Okay. Well, before we hold that, Ray, anything else before we go?
Yeah, there is actually. I think this really is a momentous night for Phil Casey, our founding father. I'd say he is celebrating. If you can envisage that Gary Neville champagne kind of picture, just imagine Phil's face on it now, celebrating.
hanging a New Balance flag out the window because obviously Nike are the issue. But Grizz, tell us about your electric toothbrush before we go. What's wrong
I mean,
with you?
there's not much to tell. I'm sort of realized that there's such a thing. I mean, I knew there was such a thing, but I didn't realize.
What? Hold on. You've
No,
just
no, let
found
me
out
finish.
today that there's electric toothbrushes.
You're going to pick on that statement when
Of course
I said,
I am.
"Hold on, I made a mistake." Look, I said I just realized how amazing this invention is. It's an absolutely amazing invention, guys. I mean, I'm assuming from your reaction, you guys knew about electric toothbrushes.
He's talking here as if we've never seen him.
Well, I'm
They are.
asking you, but no one responded.
They're,
So
they're,
I'm
well,
in
the
doubt.
thing about electric toothbrushes is they're handy. There's less effort, and
They're more than handy.
they're actually better for your teeth than manual toothbrushes.
Are they?
Amazing.
Yes,
I thought they'd be worse for your teeth.
they're clinically
So
proven.
Andy, you
they're
with me.
clinically
So me
proven.
and Andy didn't know about these.
They're clinically proven to hit more of your teeth and be less harsh on your teeth than.
How much of the heads in them? they
Well,
like
it depends on what you
razor
buy. The Oral-B ones are really good, but you replace a head every couple of months, I think. And
Alright.
I think it's probably 15 quid for 2 or 3 of the heads on it. They're
That's
brilliant.
not bad.
They're
Not
brilliant.
bad. I might get one tomorrow.
Will we all go
What
and
else,
get
what else can you spend your money on at the moment?
nothing? Lockdown apparently in Northern Ireland has been extended to the 5th of March, according to
They should be
David
locked
Lemon.
down forever.
But the only thing is if that happens, it'll happen here in Ireland as well.
I
which
just
means
want to
golf
reply
courses
to
won't open.
Kevin. Gav, I just want to reply to Gavin Ball, and it says, "Watching Grizz rattle is the funniest thing of the night." He doesn't know me very well if he thinks I'm rattled.
Nah, that's not Grizz
FC
rattle.
though, isn't it? Hey, all the
He-
opposition fans. have
He
definitely-
really doesn't know. He really doesn't know me if he thinks that's going to rattle me. He doesn't know I've survived 3-4 years in the fucking LFC Daytrippers WhatsApp group.
Yeah,
This is
and,
this is bollocks, mate.
if you can survive
Yeah.
that, sure you can
It's
survive
fine,
anything.
We had a faller
absolutely.
tonight.
Yeah, we've got a faller today. Yeah.
Worst fall.
Did we
Yeah.
have a faller?
Sad
we
to
did.
announce,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your money on? Who's your money
Who's
on?
gone?
Who's your money on? Go on. Who would you guess?
The obvious, but I don't know. That's not gonna
No,
happen.
the obvious
what?
didn't go.
It's not the obvious.
Oh, I know. Is it
It's a shocker.
Is it shoulders?
No,
No,
that would be the obvious.
Oh wow. Brenzy,
no,
No,
No.
Joe Walsh.
no, he's loving
Definitely
it.
not Joe Walsh.
Oh, he's loving it. Shaun of the Dead.
Gar.
Shaun.
Sean. Yeah, he's given up. He's gone to support Sligo full time.
Oh, Sean. Wowzers. That's what is it? Oh,
But anyway, we go again.
someone must have played the old British national anthem or something in there, and he wasn't happy about it. But bit of God Save the Queen for the lads, and it didn't work out. Come back, Sean. We love you. We get him back.
We'll
I'll
get him
off
back.
now, sort.
Are you really going playing golf now, Gav?
What?
You really going playing golf on Xbox now?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what me and Veranda Cheese do, Neil is his real name. And we play golf. What we do is we go on and we play 2v2. So it's me and him versus two randomers. A little story for you, by the way. We were atrocious the other night, but we won a game last night, and we drew one. 3 down with 3 to play. We got a draw. It's over 9 holes. Last night, right, we got back to a draw, and then we were playing these same fellas again. They decided to play. They were bleeding, battering us. We were 3 down, going up 16. And we made a bollocks of it. So he put me to about a foot, and I took a 3-wood out, and I launched it about 240 yards in the wrong direction. So just to make the opposition wait for their win. So eventually they just shut us down because we were taking too long to finish the hole. And immediately I got a message saying, "Sore loser," from some American fella. Just hold him, relax your psycho. It's a bleeding video again. So there you go. There you go. So.
Sorry, computer. Okay.
That's what I said to him. Relax your psycho. It's a computer game. And he said, I'm cool. And I said, so am I. And then I just left it there, just turned off the Xbox. So I'm probably going to turn around now and find a lovely message from this guy. So there you go.
All right, see, they're only playing 2 players, so we can't play.
No, you can absolutely play. If you come on, the 3 of us can play, and we do what we usually do. But yeah, so it's there. Gav, not on the cans. I'm surprised it's 3-wood. I'm off the cans. 3-wood. I'm cutting weight. I'm about 8 weeks out. About 8 weeks out from my big fight, but no, genuinely, it's I am cutting weight, and I'm on a strict diet. So there you go. Right, lads, we're out of here. We've got an hour and a half. Fuck's sake, we always say an hour, and then it never happens.
Considering we said what we're going to talk about for 45 minutes,
it feels like we didn't lose our first game in Anfield 7 years after that.
Yeah, I know.
Andy, it does.
Ray, Dicko, Dickinson, thanks a million for joining me. It's been a pleasure.
It doesn't count, Ray. I said it to you.
Andy, it's a pleasure. Talk to you in a bit.
Yeah, good luck.
Grizz, my main man. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Cheers,
go and have a good go off that toothbrush, yeah?
Good
stuff. Can't even remember the result from earlier. The Reds go 8 points clear after win v Burnley. All the best.